It is the work of our teen years, or maybe those of our 20s, to try to figure out who we are, at least to get a handle on it, that we can move forward. And yet, here I find myself in my 60s doing exactly that same work that I thought I'd put to rest years ago. With the advent of discovering my biological family, I am now confronted with a mystery. Who am I? How do I make sense out of two sets of stories? I'd always known they were there, but now they're real. I've had two mothers, four fathers, two sisters, two brothers, two stories. Who am I? How do I weave this all together? As I shared at Christmas time, when I have found myself in this conundrum in the past, I've leaned heavily on that identity that was born in the waters of baptism. I am first and foremost, and always, a child of God. It is that identity that is certain, unwavering, and cannot be taken from me. And so I lean into those waters as I sort out who this crazy guy is these days. It is here in the waters that we gathered this morning, the baptismal waters of Jesus. He has come to John in the River Jordan to be baptized. And it sets off a rather confusing scene in Matthew's gospel. For John wonders what he's doing there. Why are you here? I should be the one doing the baptism. You have no need of baptism. You were the Messiah. You were the Holy One. And Jesus' response is, this is the way it has to be. It is right, good, and salutary that I'm here. This is how this must play out. In this early dialogue, we have the great crisis of the early church, and that is, who is this Jesus? How do we understand him? Is he, as some said, divine, hiding out in a human body, but not really feeling it like the rest of us? Or is he just another guy? Holy, righteous, but just human. And as the early church wrestled with it and solidified their answer in the creeds, it was determined that Jesus was indeed fully human and fully divine at the same time. And we see this dual identity when we come to the waters of baptism with Jesus. We hear the voice from heaven, "This is my Son, the beloved." That's pretty clear. Jesus is God's Son, begotten of the Father. He is divine. And yet at the same time, we have that wonderful conversation with John in which it's pretty obvious that Jesus identifies as a human, fully human, in need of baptism, in need of wading into the waters with us, if he is to do his work, if he is to be who he is called to be. It is an identity that is both interior and exterior. And as we come to the waters, as we gather around those waters this day, we are reminded that that is true of our identity. We are both born of the Father, the Creator, and we are very human. In our birth, in that creation, God has given us life. It is a gift that He has given to all of us. There is in us, in some mysterious way, the divine, God's Spirit, God's presence. It's why Augustine can talk about all humanity is yearning, restless, until we find our rest in the Father, until we come home. We are restless. We don't even know, most of us at times, why we feel that restlessness. And that's one of the jobs of the church and of Christians, is to help us help one another begin to wrestle with that sense of struggling to get back home, to recognize who we truly are. And yet at the same time, we are reminded again and again how human we really are. We screw it up all the time. We're broken. Our words, our actions betray our humanity and how far we fall from the glory of God, as Paul puts it. And so we come to God begging forgiveness, claiming our baptism, claiming that identity as His children. Born of water and Spirit, God's Spirit, we live as dual citizens of this world. So what does that mean? It means that on those days when we think we have fallen about as far as we can, that we have messed life up beyond repair, that we really can't do that. That we are, in the end, God's children. And like the prodigal children we are, there is a Father who comes to us day in and day out, welcoming us back home. Not as slaves, but as children, sons and daughters. We come. He picks us up out of the muck and the mire where we've fallen face down, dusts us off, and gets us back at it. At the same time, we are called to remember that this gift of God is a gift to all humanity. That we are all children of God. And how we deal with one another, how we interact, how we relate, how we talk about one another, what we do to each other, we do as children of God, one to another. It's a reminder for me, particularly when I am around those folks that are most difficult in my life, that they too bear the mark of God. They are my brothers and my sisters. And I need to love them too, as difficult as that is at times. And so we come to the waters to be reminded of who we are and whose we are, but also that larger world in which we live and work and play. Luther puts it so poignantly when he coins the phrase, "We are both saint and sinner, water-washed, sent forth into the world to help others claim their true identities." Amen.